Welcome back to the show. Let's begin on line 3. Hi, Craig. You're on the air.
Good morning, Patty. How are you?
I'm doing fine this morning. How about you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good.
I was listening to your preamble this morning. I've got a little bit of a mixed bag here this morning.
Go right ahead.
Muskrat Falls is one thing. A couple of days ago on your preamble, I thought I heard you mention something about a senior engineer on the North Spur resigning.
No, there was an engineer who was formerly a project manager on the proposed development of Gull Island, a man with a legitimate long-term and valued experience who had chimed in about the North Spur. That's what I said.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's still a huge concern, of course, for me, because I live downstream. But, I mean, I was wondering, with the general election not too far in the distant future, what are the opposition parties? What's their stand on Muskrat Falls? Do they support it, or do they think we're beyond the point of no return? I'd be interested to hear what Dwight Ball or Lorraine Michael, what stand that their parties are taking on Muskrat Falls.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to ask them on your behalf and everyone else's. My recollection of their position is the NDP have always been the ones talking about there was a lack of full evaluation of all alternatives.
Yeah.
I don't think they are willing to halt the project. I'll let Ms. Michael speak for her party. Mr. Ball, he says that the number one concern now will be the oversight and management of the project as it goes on, so control of cost overruns, those types of things, but the Liberals are not going to halt Muskrat Falls, period.
Yeah, I recently read Muskrat Madness, the book put out by Cabot Martin. Yep. And for people who have very little understanding of Muskrat Falls, I would highly recommend that they read that book, because there's a lot of information in there. And one thing that really struck me that I wasn't aware of was the abundance of natural gas that's sitting off the coast of Newfoundland. And he explains how that could solve the island's energy need at a cost of about $3 billion total.
I don't necessarily agree with his assertion on the natural gas front. There's trillions of cubic feet of gas out there. There's no doubt about it, and that's very true. It is, but it's not strictly up to us when and if and how we go at the natural gas. And make no mistake, natural gas, the pricing of, if you're Husky or anyone else sitting on gas, you sell it to the highest bidder. So you're going to float your tankers east and take it to a market paying more for MMBTU, even if we buy it off them. I don't know why anyone is convinced that we'll be able to buy it at some sort of cut rate. The only way we'll do it is to jeopardize the value of any of our royalties or super royalties or equity position. So the gas is not as easy as they say. Even when we saw a report that came in, the man's name escapes me, Stephen Bruno, who is an experienced, very smart, and a upstanding person, he makes it sound so simple when, in fact, there was glaring holes in his report about his proposed $2 billion platform and solve for our electricity generation needs with natural gas. So I don't think it's as easy as they paint it out to be. That's my own personal opinion.
It may not be at prime market price right now, but I mean, just look at the cost it would save to every resident of the province.
Who says it's going to save us anything, though?
Well, according to his estimate, I mean, you can produce it for approximately 9 cents per kilowatt hour, your electricity, with the natural gas. And if those numbers are even in the ballpark, you compare that to 30+ cents for Muskrat Falls, and Muskrat Falls is so volatile. So,
what's the volatility in hydro? And certainly 9 cents is a tricky number to work with on gas, but what's the volatility in your estimation with Muskrat?
Well, the Murphy's Law. I mean, there are so many things that can go wrong, like the North Spur, like the transmission line, like the underwater cable. There's so many things that can go drastically wrong. And look at the deal that Nova Scotia has struck. I mean, they were supposed to get power from Muskrat Falls as well, but now apparently it's going directly to Soldiers Pond, and their hydro is going to come from Bay d'Espoir. So if the Muskrat line goes down, all this power at Bay d'Espoir is going to Nova Scotia.
Well, we owe them 167 megawatts.
What's that?
We owe them 167 megawatts for the power.
Yeah.
That's right. That's really true. I mean, there was volatility.
But it won't be coming from Muskrat Falls. Yeah, but, not so much volatility as risk is the word I was looking for. I think, the risk of there are so many things that can go wrong with Muskrat Falls, and even if everything went according to plan, if there were no failures, just the price alone should be a huge deterrence. I mean, I don't think that Nalcor, gave a fair assessment to other alternatives. I just don't think that they looked long and hard enough at alternatives. They concentrated solely on Muskrat Falls, and now I think we're in a very, very precarious situation.
It's a deal that has some major risks associated. There's no doubt about it, and you identified some of them. Whether it be the reliability of transmission and subsea cables, and the actual life expectancy of the maritime link, the fact Nova Scotians pay less. We're on the hook for every single piece. No determination of whatever revenue comes from it, whether that lessens my bills. All of these things. I mean, it is wrought with risk. There's no doubt about it.
It is.
I'm still not convinced. And no one has been able to show me how I should be convinced that the gas option is actually the answer. I mean, there's no one can tell me that Husky will sell it to us cheap because they're our partners. Husky is in business. They're not going to give us gas cheaper than they can sell it to somebody else. They're just not going to do it. Why would they? Where's the benefit to business? To say, oh yeah, well, I mean, we live here, so we need to flick on the lights for cheap cost. So let's sell them the gas cheaper than I can get in Europe or Asia. It's just too silly for words to think that's how it's going to work.
Yeah,
in my estimation.
Well, yeah, this is more complicated than that, though. I mean, the government does have some jurisdiction over the production of it, I'm sure. It is, after all...
It's subject to the Atlantic Court. We can play a role in the pace of play, but they get to make determinations as the companies who have their neck in the noose and the capital on the line of when and if they can consider a find viable. Same thing with the Flemish Pass and Statoil. Same thing, Hebron took its time. Hibernian needed federal government money in it. Husky, as a somewhat junior player, nobody wants to develop that gas more than Husky. Nobody on the face of the earth wants to get that gas out of White Rose quicker and more in a profitable fashion more than Husky. So, I mean, I think that's a fairly good summary of why the gas is not coming out of there just yet, because they can't make it work financially.
Another issue I wanted to raise was on your preamble this morning. You talked about the debate yesterday on CBC Radio about the term Newfoundlander, Labradorian, or Newfoundlander and Labrador.
Yeah, listen to some of it,
Yeah. So, I got a question for you. What do you consider yourself?
Well, I'm a citizen. I'm a citizen of the province, and for the vast majority of my life, I grew up with the banner being called Newfoundland and Labrador. I don't think I'm any different from someone in Labrador. I might not share their unique culture, traditions, and heritage and link to the land, but nor do they share some of the feelings that I have in association with my region. So I think we are creating a rift and exaggerating it for political purposes. I was shocked the level of disrespect that some of those callers were laying at the feet of people who live on the island. I was literally shocked.
Oh, like what, for example?
Well, I mean, they're just considering me some part of the colonization. I'm 45 years old. I wasn't around for any colonization, and to hold that stuff over my head, I find that to be completely ludicrous. Personally,
I didn't pick that up myself.
Well, plus callers to this show have also said the exact same thing, and things like they didn't get the vote on the new provincial flag. Neither did I. So I don't understand some of the points that are coming across. I understand they want to be proud of their own part of the province. They want to fly the flag as a recognition of how they are distinctly different and have different landmass than us. But I think laying it at our feet that people on the island begrudge anything that Labradorians get, I think is patently foolish. I really do. I don't know anybody who's ever said that in their quiet social moments with me. Nobody. Zero.
Well, Paddy, there's such a big difference, though, because the demographics, I mean, our numbers are so much smaller than yours.
Yep.
The vast majority of the resources are here. If it were the other way around, if the majority of people were here and the resources were on the island, and let's just say, take Muskrat Falls, for example, if that were on the island, the shoe was on the other foot, if the situation was reversed, how would Newfoundlanders feel that we were going to come in and develop Muskrat Falls, whether you want us to or not? You have no say. I mean, we're going to do this because we need the power.
But I don't have a say either. That's where I think the disconnect is. I don't get a vote.
I'm not meaning the individual population. I'm talking about the government. If the government were here and the situation was reversed that way, Confederation buildings in Labrador, and the majority of population and therefore politicians are here, and the situation were reversed, how would you feel if we were going to come in and develop your river, which you don't want done because it's a part of your heritage and it's going to contaminate your traditional food and it's going to harm the environment, all those things, and the benefits, the power is coming solely to Labrador. Not one household in Newfoundland is going to get that power. It's all coming here, and you're going to help pay for it.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
Well, but I don't get a say in any of this either. That's where I don't think people are putting this all on level footing here. I don't get a say. There are developments that go on in my backyard. I don't get a say. That's how government really operates. So I can't. It's hard for me to hypothetically put you on the other foot. Yeah.
We elect the governments. They represent us. We're the bosses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't get a say, but why should you get a say if I don't get a say? I mean, I think that's a legitimate question, regardless of where you live. And are we all going to be just masters of our own regional destiny? I mean, is that how we think we can actually have a unified, prosperous,
well, what do you mean
province?
by regional destiny? I mean, like,
so you're saying because the rivers
on Brook with Labrador, for example?
Why not? Why not? What's the difference?
There's a huge difference.
Why?
Well, they're two separate entities.
So that's the thing. We're going to allow the regions to determine how things proceed, as opposed to the benefit to the best interest of the people.
There is no other place in the country that compares to Newfoundland and Labrador. There's no other province like this.
I don't dispute that. Yeah, I get that. I think that's a fair point.
It is, and it's a very unique situation. And there is a feeling of animosity here, and a feeling of second class. You know, it's just the way it is.
Do you think people in rural parts of the island feel any different than those in Labrador? Like they feel left behind? They haven't got the services like the townies get? They don't think investment has been legitimate in provision of service? They feel like second-class citizens? They don't get a say? Don't you think that people all over the province may indeed share similar feelings, regardless of whether or not they live on the big land?
Maybe in a smaller scale, perhaps.
But the smaller scale can only be gauged about how many people live there. I mean, you can't hold that against them. I mean, there's only 30,000 people in Labrador. How much investment is actually required? I think we got to document some of this stuff so we can legitimately look at it. Emotions are going to make bad decisions by and large, and I think that history proves that out. We need to know exactly what's going on, not only with how you feel, your unique relationship with the land, your distinct culture and traditions, but also about how much money's been taken out versus how much in, what that constitutes, how many people it serves. I think these are all legitimate things that we can take some emotion out and look at them with cold, hard eyes. Is that fair?
Oh, well, it's probably fair, but it's a very complex situation because I still can't compare a region on the island with a huge landmass like Labrador, which is so different. It's a separate entity.
But it's not a separate entity. We're all part of the same province. It should be best
interest
of people should govern.
Not by choice.
Nor do I have a choice.
There was no vote.
I have no
referendum.
choice. I have no choice either. Same thing with the flag. I've never had a vote on any of this stuff. I think we're hanging our hat on this colonialism stuff, which is not helping anybody, period.
I mean, jurisdiction of Labrador was given to Newfoundland. Labradorans did not have a say in the matter.
Yeah, nor did Newfoundland. The Privy Council in 1927 granted the landmass to Newfoundland. That's it. I mean, that's kind of how that works. Nobody here had any say in it either. Isn't that true?
That's true, yes, but I mean, it's totally beneficial to you, and it's
and to you.
No, it's not.
Well, how has it not been? I mean, who's paying for any of the infrastructure enjoyed by anybody in Labrador? Whether or not it's up to scratch and recognized as significant investment, who's paid for it? We all have. We all have. We all have paid for it. Kevin, you know that. We've all paid for this stuff.
Okay. Well, we all pay for the things you have on the island, too.
And we pay for some of that, too. We pay for some of what goes on in Labrador. It's the pool of money. This is the same argument that goes on. Whether or not Labrador is reflected with any other region in the province or in the country, there are people that are in smaller rural pockets that don't feel they get the same level of service, attention, or the same status as people living in bigger urban centers that seem to have it all. I think this is common theme stuff. The more we exaggerate it, the more that we try to make it the plain and simple division, the line in the sand, I think hurts every single one of us, including folks in Labrador. It's only my opinion and my perspective. People can challenge it, and I understand your point of view, and I've enjoyed the conversation. Anything else you'd like to say in summary before I take a break?
Well, I'd just like to say that I think it's deplorable, the situation with the Northern Ranger, the north coast of Labrador. I mean, that's the only vessel that they have to rely on to bring their winter supplies, their food, their existence, really. And that thing was broke down again a couple of days ago. It was very, very late starting the season, as you know, and there's no backup vessel. And I think in this day and age, that it is totally unacceptable, and it just creates so much frustration for the people on the north coast and Black Tickle, and that's where a lot of frustration are coming from. Things like that, you know. It's 2014 here in Mud Lake. We've got an antiquated telephone system. The landline that I'm on right now is good today, but after a rainstorm, it gets crackly. There are a couple new houses here now who can't even get landlines because they don't have enough room left on this antiquated system. And I mean, that's what we have to rely on here in 2014.
Point taken, and we won't belabor some of the points that we both made, but I've enjoyed the conversation. I think I called you Kevin at one point. I'm sorry, that's the name on my screen. Craig, I really appreciate your time and everything you've had to offer. Hopefully you call again soon.
Thank you, Benny.
All the best.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.